phones, Babylons can't crack the code.
Going into the 2021 college football season, the Oklahoma Sooners, according to the top 25 AP poll, rank as the number 2 team heading into the season. And there's even some that think this is the year that OU is going to win the Natty. We have people that are putting them in the college football playoff national championship game and even have them winning it. They definitely seem like a top team in the nation right now. But there is a huge problem right now that OU is facing going into the 2021 college football season. This is B. Kelly back again with another banger video. And in today's video, y'all, I'm going to be talking about the problem that could affect OU's entire season. Before we move on with the video, remember to smash that like button and subscribe if you haven't already, as we are on the road to 10K and I would highly appreciate it. Now let's get into it. Now you might be wondering, what is wrong with OU and what's this big problem that could affect them drastically in the 2021 college football season? Now you might be telling yourself, they have a great wide receiver core, they got 2 great running backs, they're going to have a big impact this season. They have Spencer Rattler, who some have as a Heisman winning quarterback this year, and a defense under Coach Grinch that is steadily improving every season. And it is true, OU does cover all of that, but their biggest problem they have right now that could be affecting their season and how it goes is running back depth. Now, before I talk about their biggest issue with running back depth right now heading into the season, I want to kick it all the way back to 2020, heading in after star running back Kennedy Brooks opted out of the 2020 season. Now take this for a fact that Kennedy Brooks was supposed to be a top running back selected in 2021 for the NFL draft because many thought he was going to have a great season in 2020. But after he opted out, the running back room for OU was Ramondre Stevenson, who would end up being suspended half the season, TJ Pledger, who at that point really never played a lot due to injury and never being a main back, Seth McGowan, that was a freshman, Marcus Major, who was still a really young guy in his second year in the program, and Mikey Henderson, who was also a freshman but more of a versatile player who could also be an H-back. Now, before Ramondre Stevenson came back from his suspension, OU's run game struggled a lot as no one was exactly balling out the way that OU running backs in the past have, as they weren't terrible, but they weren't exactly the best thing ever, and the offense definitely was not as great because of the run game. But once Ramondre Stevenson was back from his suspension, the offense went up, and so did the run game, as Ramondre Stevenson in 6 games balled out, having 665 yards of rushing, averaging over 6.5 yards per carry, and 7 total touchdowns on the ground. Now, I'm going to be talking about where OU's depth in the running back room started to really take a hit, and we're going to start all the way in the very beginning when TJ Pledger, who was the starting running back heading into 2020 since Kennedy Brooks opted out and Ramondre Stevenson was suspended, he would enter the transfer portal and end up at Utah after having a season that was just okay, where he played in 9 games, had 451 yards, averaged 4.7 yards per carry, and 5 total touchdowns on the ground. Next up, they had Ramondre Stevenson declare his name for the 2021 NFL Draft after completely balling out in the 6 games that he played in 2020. Like I said earlier, he rushed for 665 yards, averaging over 6.5 yards per carry, and 7 total touchdowns. And nobody was really surprised that he would end up declaring for the draft after he had such a good season. He would end up being drafted in the 4th round by the New England Patriots, and he has had a great preseason so far with them. Then OU would land Tennessee transfer running back Eric Gray. That is a very versatile player that is going to help their offense out a lot, especially with their natty goals. He's coming off a 2020 season in 9 games where he rushed for 772 yards, averaged 5 yards per carry, had 4 touchdowns on the ground, had 254 receiving yards, averaging 8.5 yards per reception, and 2 total touchdowns through the air. At this point, heading into spring camp, everything seemed great for OU as their running back room heading into spring camp for the 2021 college football season was Kennedy Brooks, Eric Gray, Seth McGowan, Marcus Major, and even Mikey Henderson, who was more of an H-back. He could still play running back as he still carried the ball quite a bit for the Sooners in 2020. What would happen next with OU's running back room during spring camp was something that nobody expected, as right before the spring game, Trejan Bridges, wide receiver, and Seth McGowan, running back, would end up getting dismissed from the team due to an armed robbery, and a few months later, they would find out that Mikey Henderson was involved with it in some way, and he would also get dismissed from the team. Both of these dismissals would end up hurting OU, as both Seth and Mikey Henderson showed a lot of promise and potential in 2020, and a lot of people could see them being very good with OU in the coming years. Now, after both of these things happened, OU would also get another running back to add to their RB room in Trey Bradford, the former 4-star recruit from the 2020 recruiting class from LSU. Now, at this point of the video, heading into fall camp of 2021, at this point, OU has 4 scholarship running backs in Kennedy Brooks, Eric Gray, Marcus Major, and Trey Bradford. Just a while ago, during OU's fall camp, just a couple weeks from the season beginning for 2021, it was revealed that Marcus Major is not eligible to play for this season because of academic issues. Now, obviously, this is a big hit towards OU, but they still had 3 running backs on roster that were under scholarship in Kennedy Brooks, Eric Gray, and Trey Bradford. But eventually, OU's depth running back woes would get even worse. Now, what I mean by that is just a little after the news broke that Marcus Major was ineligible for the 2021 college football season, Trey Bradford is no longer on OU's football team. According to 24/7 Sports, it seems like Trey Bradford is trying to go back to LSU as he didn't exactly like OU the way that he thought he was. And he might even be eligible right away, as there's an NCAA rule that states a player can return to his original school with possible immediate eligibility so long as the player hasn't completed 14 practices with his new school, in which he hasn't with OU. And right now, currently, OU's scholarship running back depth right now is Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray, as we are just 1 week from the season beginning. And right now, nobody's really sure who's going to be running back 3. There's speculation that it might be another position player such as Jeremiah Hall, or someone that has played running back in the past, or a couple of the walk-on running backs they have on the roster, such as Todd Hudson and Jaden Knowles. The worst thing about this is that OU is 1 running back away from getting injured to being in some serious trouble for 2021. With how many scholarship running backs that OU have right now, it's really hard to believe what has happened in just a couple weeks. As just a couple weeks ago, it seemed like OU had some of the best running back depth in all of college football, with Kennedy Brooks, Eric Gray, Marcus Major, and Trey Bradford. But now they sit at 2 scholarship running backs with Kennedy Brooks and Eric Gray, and every college football player can get hurt at any moment in the season, and if OU loses one of them, it's going to hurt extremely with only 1 scholarship back, and if they lose both of them, which is also possible, they could be in a lot of trouble. Well guys, if you guys have made it this far in the video, Remember to leave something down in the comments below if this is going to be something that affects how OU is going to play in 2021. And before you head out, remember to smash that like button, turn on them post notifications, and subscribe for more videos. B. Kelly out.